Welcome, welcome, welcome. Who is excited to be at SEDC? Woo, woo, woo. That's your cue to woo. This is the only time you're allowed to woo. There you go. All right. My name is Scott Pogue. I am your 2023 chairman. Thank you guys for being here in Williamsburg. There's been a lot of planning that has gone into this conference, and I think you will see the fruits of those labors this week. I would like to welcome to the stage our fife and drum group to present the colors. If everyone could please stand for that presentation. And I would like to introduce Ms. Grace Fitzgerald to sing the national anthem.
Fifes and drums, up, down, jump, lob it or use, fives, up, ready, knock it off.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I would like to recognize our officers and board members. Please stand when I call your name. Our first Vice Chairman, Mr. Brian Gwynn. Our second Vice Chairman, Jana Dyke. Our Secretary Treasurer, Tim Weston. And our immediate past Chairman, Frank McCready. If you are a state director, please stand and be recognized. If you are an alternate director, please stand and be recognized. This group of people works very hard day in and day out. I know it's easy to look around, at the different events that we do and think that it just comes together, but without the help of these volunteers and the staff that we have, these events would not be possible. So a round of applause to them. In addition, we could not do what we do without our investors. I want to thank our signature investors, GIS WebTech and ECS Unlimited. Our cornerstone investors, TVA, CSX, Norfolk Southern, Amazon, Duke Energy, W&A Engineering, 365 Degree Total Marketing. Thank you. Our presenting sponsors and host, Virginia Economic Development Partnership and the Virginia Port Authority. And our title sponsor, Moffitt and Nickel. I started doing this site selection for this conference. We're supposed to start doing it in 2020, but we got kind of busy in 2020 and some things got sidetracked. I'm trying to remember what was going on back then. But for the last 3 years, we've been working on picking a site, working through the facility. What are the current topics we want to discuss? This event could not have been done without our local planning committee. I would like to recognize them at this time. Brian Rothamel, Chris Gullickson, Dan Motley, Joe Hines, Laura Swinkler, and our president, Matt Tackett. Thank you for all your help in planning such a great event. So I don't know how many of you guys got here planes, trains, and automobiles. I live in Augusta, Georgia, and I decided to drive up here. And I enjoy driving. My windshield time is where I really get to think a lot and get my thoughts in order and come up with all my big ideas. And as I drove up here the 6.5 hours from Augusta and drove through many of our member states, you really get to see firsthand economic development through a windshield. I saw everything from new buildings being constructed, retail development, infrastructure being built. But I also saw the hard part too. I saw tornado damage and I saw communities that were hurting. And it really made me think and put in perspective the hard work that economic developers have to do every day. As a practitioner of economic development, we have to be Jacks and Jills of all trade. You have to be a site development expert and a construction expert, and you have to be a workforce expert and an education expert, and whatever your chairman and your county commissioner decide, you're going to be an expert on that week, right? So our goal here at SEDC is to give you more tools in your toolbox. We want to be able to provide value to you so that when you are faced with those challenges and you feel very alone and like you're the only one in that community that's trying to move the ball forward, that you have a network of fellow economic developments and private sector partners that you can lean on, and that we can provide continuing education opportunities that add tools to that toolbox for you. The American South represents the third largest economy in the world. You guys are doing a great job. Last year alone, $200 billion in investment, 250,000 new jobs, $10 trillion in new GDP. That's awesome, guys. Give yourselves a hand for that. The American South, we are the best economic developers in the world, hands down, and I will challenge anybody that says otherwise. With SEDC, we've gone through a lot of change, in the last year. We've had new staff members. We've grown by over 500 new members. We have 77 of those new members here. We've started new initiatives like our FDI committee you'll hear about. our state association roundtable, trying to engage our state economic development associations, our annual investor program we just mentioned, a wage and benefit survey, a professional development program, and even fun stuff like our podcast. And if you haven't had an opportunity to listen to that or to join in, you can hear some great dad jokes on that as well. It's more than just economic development. But I want to thank you guys for this. This is the largest conference, to my knowledge, that SEDC has ever had. I think the final number was 457 people. It's our highest grossing conference ever. On the coattails of the great event we had in Atlanta earlier this year, I think that we are all in for a treat with the content that's going to be presented this week. And so, let's buckle up, let's get ready, and let's do this. At this time, I'd like to welcome to the stage the Honorable Karen Merrick, Secretary of Commerce and Trade for the Commonwealth of Virginia. A lot of times, you have these political appointees, and they were put there just because they know somebody. Well, that is not Karen Merrick. She's been there, she's done that. She's been in the private sector of business, she's started companies, and so turn your listening ears on and welcome her to the stage.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Virginia. All right, so I'm incredibly honored to be here with you today, the largest regional economic development association in North America, record-breaking numbers for employment and membership and whatnot, and 17 states represented. So, I'm not going to go through all the states, but can I get a hand up for anybody from Arkansas? Whoop, whoop. That's fantastic. My father was born and raised in Arkansas. How about North Carolina? Yes, yes, yes. Alabama? Yes. Texas, Texas. Right, we're on to you, Texas. My son's in college there. So it's so energizing to be in this room with you. The people in this room working together could change the world. And that's what you're doing every day with those numbers that were just cited. I want to give a shout out to my friends at the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, the Ports of Virginia, the Economic Developers Association, the elected officials here, and all the people in Virginia who are helping make it the best place to live, work, and raise a family. Raise your hand if you're from Virginia. Woo! Yes, indeed. All right. President Theodore Roosevelt said, "Far and away, the best prize life offers is the chance to work hard at work worth doing." So, what is work worth doing? Well, you can be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher. That's work worth doing. You can be a welder who builds and repairs ships. That's work worth doing. You can be a phlebotomist, an HVAC technician, a manufacturing technician. You can work in a distribution warehouse. That is all work worth doing. And we're going to get back to that theme of work worth doing. But first, I want to tell you a bit about my story. As Secretary of Commerce and Trade, I oversee 13 agencies. It's a tremendous honor and blessing. These agencies are at the tip of the arrow for economic growth and development in Virginia. There's about $2 billion in funding and 1,300 team members who drive economic growth in Virginia through the Secretariat of Commerce and Trade. These include organizations like the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, the Virginia Innovation Partnership, which is a driver for investing in early-stage startups, but also in investing in the entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Virginia. In Commerce and Trade, we have 2 housing agencies working hard every day to address the need for more workforce housing. Virginia Energy is in this secretariat. We're working hard every day on the governor's all of the above energy plan to make sure that we have enough energy for communities and businesses. Energy that's affordable, reliable, innovative, sustainable, and clean. We're working hard to recruit companies within that all of the above energy supply chain: nuclear, hydrogen, natural gas, and more. I'm also very delighted that in this secretariat is Virginia Tourism, who partners with professionals across Virginia to make it the best place to visit. And I'm so glad that everyone here is in Williamsburg and getting to see just one of the countless gems here in Virginia. As Secretary of Commerce and Trade, this is my first job in state government. As I reflect on my 30-year career so far, I see that there's a constant theme of economic growth and development. My story in Virginia begins right after college. I came here to Virginia. I was the first woman in my family to earn a college degree. I did 1 year of community college, and then I transferred to the University of California, Los Angeles. I was supporting myself through school. I was fortunate to get a job, a part-time job on campus at UCLA in the Placement and Career Planning Center, working there 5 hours a day, 25 hours a week, $10 an hour, supporting myself through college. So I earned my degree in 3 years by doing community college and UCLA every summer. And I came here to Virginia. And I realized, oh, by the way, when you think about Placement and Career Planning Center, what is that all about? It's about helping people be ready for a career of work worth doing. So I come to Virginia, I realize what I really want to do is be an entrepreneur. I want to start and grow things myself. And so I set about learning from Virginia business people. And about 5 years after college graduation, I did a startup, founded a startup in my basement with my husband. So we did the usual thing that startup companies do, and we called friends and family, and we asked them to invest. So we had a couple of rounds of investors, friends and family. We built a little product. It was shipping. We had 5 employees in our basement, a little townhouse in Northern Virginia. And we went about looking for capital. We needed venture funding to scale our ideas. And we went across the country talking to venture firms. Every single one rejected us. They said, first of all, you're from Virginia. If you want to do cool software, you need to move to Silicon Valley. And secondly, they said, we've never heard of you. We don't know you. But finally, a venture firm in Northern Virginia invested $2 million in our company. We moved out of the basement. We hired more salespeople, software engineers, marketing folks, customer service reps. We started to sell that product and build it out. DHL became an early adopter company, Wells Fargo, an early adopter company. Then Michael Dell invested. Then the Mayfield Fund from Silicon Valley invested. Goldman Sachs invested. The company was on a roll. Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs vied to take our company public. And on the day of our IPO, led by Morgan Stanley, we were the most successful software IPO in history. This is a Virginia story. From there, we grew the company to a global enterprise software company with 1,200 people. The year that we went public, my husband and I decided, if we can succeed, anybody can. How can we help other people succeed? So we formed a foundation, a private foundation named after the company. The foundation, we had 4 employees, made grants to nonprofits that are on the front lines helping low-income families achieve their potential. And it turns out the best way to help someone achieve their potential is in education. it's training. So our foundation was helping to prepare people for work worth doing. And I must also say, starting and growing a business is work worth doing. And that's what you all are doing every day. You're helping to generate environments, make connections, win the funding to grow economies and businesses and potential. So I've been working with Governor Youngkin about 19 months now, and I had worked with him previously in the private sector. And we have a heck of a lot of momentum going right now. So his platform when he ran was pretty simple, basically. He wanted to have 400,000 more Virginians working and 10,000 startups. He had some other goals in education and healthcare and law enforcement, but these were the goals that this secretariat is on the tip of the arrow with. Since inauguration, we have 200,000 more Virginians working, and we will achieve our 10,000 startup goal by the end of this year. These are high-growth, high-wage startups. Our goal is to make Virginia not only the best place to live, work, and raise a family, but to start, grow, or relocate a business. We want to operate at the speed of business and with great certainty. We want you and all your friends to move to Virginia and all the companies to come here too. And actually, we've been doing pretty well. I mean, we announced Raytheon moved their headquarters here, Boeing moved their headquarters here, Lego opened their only North American plant here in Virginia. We're also seeing that businesses that are already here in Virginia are growing. Hilton, AWS, Amazon. We were recently ranked number 2 by CNBC. Our economy is growing. It's one of the top 5 fastest growing economies in the country. Since Governor Youngkin took office, we had a $5.1 billion surplus in our budget. It really matters to pay attention and to manage things well. Our labor force participation rate is 66.6%. Some say that's the highest it's ever been, but we're not finished yet. Our visitor spending in Virginia is now back to 2019 levels. Although the workforce, it's the fastest area of workforce growth in Virginia, hospitality, but we don't have as many people working in hospitality as we did in 2019, and so we're working on that. The governor is passing tax cuts. He wants corporations to pay fewer taxes and people to pay fewer taxes. And with a $5.1 billion surplus, we can certainly afford to do that. We want to roll out the welcome mat in Virginia. We're reducing regulations by 25%. We want the path of growth to be more certain and certainly more fast. We have actually a continuing commitment as well to veterans. We have passed now, it'll soon be hopefully 2 laws to reduce the amount of income tax a veteran pays on their retirement. And with all that, like you, we're facing a workforce shortage. We know every industry in every state is wrestling with this. And so I want to share with you a few things that we're doing to grow our workforce. And this is in addition to the work that we're doing to invest hundreds of millions of dollars more in sites and in our infrastructure. So the Secretary of Education has been working closely with the Virginia Community College System on Governor Youngkin's Compete to Win plan. The themes there are speed, convergence, and adaptability. Our colleges are committed now to working far more closely with the business community than ever before. We're working with the Virginia Department of Workforce Development, the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, the Virginia Chamber of Commerce, and our K-12 system. Workforce programs will no longer operate as vertical in the community college system, but will become horizontal, cutting across all academic divisions. because what we have decided to do in Virginia is aim for outcomes. Not just the number of people that we've trained, but the number of people who have the skills for in-demand jobs in Virginia. One of the most exciting parts of this initiative is that we are now putting in place a requirement for all high school students to earn a credential for an in-demand industry in Virginia. Can you imagine what would become possible for our young people if they graduate from high school with a credential or an associate's degree? I wholeheartedly believe that how we solve our workforce problem, and I know you do too, is by training more people, helping them understand their God-given gifts and talents and potential. And community colleges are a key path towards that. We want to blur the lines between secondary and post-secondary education, between academic and workforce development, and between our colleges and the workplace. Our goal is we're shifting the line from completion of a program to a good job in a high-demand sector. And here's what we know. What gets measured gets done. We're going to pay for performance. That's a pretty radical idea. We're going to pay for performance so that we can achieve the outcomes that we know are possible. I'm really excited about this initiative because I know it's going to transform lives, because I know that everyone was born with an opportunity to do work worth doing. Every single high school student. Far and away, the best prize life offers is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. That's what you do every day. That's what we want a growing workforce to do. That's what our companies must have to grow. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless Virginia.
Me again. Thank you so much, Madam Secretary. All right, at this time, got to thank some more of our sponsors, our gold sponsors, Camoin Associates, Loudoun County, Virginia Economic Development, our silver sponsors, Magnum Economics, Research FDI, Dominion Energy, GrantWorks, Timmons, MEB Group, Trade and Industry Development. Thank you so much. All right, everybody doing okay so far? This is interactive, everybody. We're going to have a long week. All right, so at this time, I'm going to give you a little bit of a break. Don't make me regret it. We've got some coffee outside. We got some great exhibitors. Go network and be back in here at 10 o'clock or you're going to have to deal with me, okay? All right, I'll see you at 10.